Welcome back to your Aces franchise. If you missed the last episode, we finished the rest of the season and then checked out our players and did a season recap, going over who did well, who didn't do good. So now we've gone into the off season, and looking at our exclusive free agent, we only have one, and I'm probably not going to bring back CJ Alfaro, just because. Jorge Alfaro. It's a little misleading right there. We're probably not going to bring back Jorge Alfaro just because I think that we can get a cheaper, he's only on $1 million deal, but I think we can get a better backup catcher, considering he doesn't have the best attributes hitting wise. He doesn't have the best fielding attributes. He has a good arm, but that's it. So let's go ahead and jump into free agency and see who we're going to pick. Alright, welcome to free agency season 1. So, we do have some rules that I need to go over for free agency just to make this a little more realistic. I'm going to limit myself to 10 signings. That is any position, only I can sign up to 10 people in total. As well as I have a limit of $50 million that I can give out, so I can't go out and sign Juan Soto because he's going to want around probably 35 a year, and I would only have 20 left. So we're going to be looking to build the team up and get some guys that we can build around, get some guys who we can trade going forward at the next trade deadline, and potentially get someone like a star who we can build this team around. So let's go ahead and jump into free agency and go to my first pick. So, first guy I'm going to look to give an offer is Frankie Montas. He didn't have a great season last season, but definitely would have been one of our better pitchers had he been on our team. He throws hard, he's got good break, he's got good control. He's going to put up around a 4 ERA, maybe just a little under or a little above. He's going to pitch around 180 to potentially 200 innings, hopefully next season. So I think this is a good pickup for us. He's not going to be an ace, he's not going to win Cy Young, but he does have the potential to be a trade deadline trade that we can make going into next season. So I'm going to send him a $6.4 million 1-year deal. So this will mark off $6.4 million off of our total of $50 million. So let's go ahead and jump into who I'm going to go for next. So the next guy we're going to go for is Alec Mills. This is another starting pitcher. He's not good at all, but he did throw a no-hitter in Chicago against Milwaukee, so go check out that. But he's not a good pitcher at all. As you can see, last season he didn't pitch, but the season before that he had an 18 ERA in 1 inning. So he wasn't pitching much. Hasn't really pitched since 2021 and hasn't been good since really 2019. So we're gonna pick him up on a 2-year deal. He's very, very cheap for only $800,000 a year. We're gonna pick him up and hope for him to be just a backup guy, potentially a long reliever, maybe a 5, just some depth for the team. So we're gonna let's go ahead and send him this offer. So the next guy we are going to go after is Yasmani Grandal, and this might seem like a bit of a stretch, but I think that he can be a decent backup catcher for us considering his attributes. He is 36, but he did not play last season. I do still think that he has some left in the tank. He's pretty cheap at only $2 million per year, so we can sign him, and then I think that he could, if his attributes stay the same, I think that he could be a good trade candidate going into next season's trade deadline. So let's go ahead and send him this offer. The next guy I'm going to look to give an offer to is going to be Dominic Smith. Although we did trade him this season, he had a very, very good season, and the prospects we got for him have been very good. So he wants to be on a team that's close to home, so we're close to home for him. He wants to be a platoon player. We're going to put him as an everyday player. This is almost going to guarantee that he's going to sign this contract. But he's very good. He's only 29. He's got good attributes, and they even went up a bunch. So I think this is a very good signing for us. And this time we're going to sign him to a 2-year deal. and that deal could go up. I'm not looking to trade him next season. I want him to be our first baseman going forward. I only traded him in the first season because I wasn't sure the direction that we were going to go. We didn't have a ton of guys who we could trade, so I think just having him onto the team now will be a more secure spot. So that is going to put us at a $7 million limit right there. That makes us $7 million out of $50 million. So let's go ahead and do that. The next player I want to look to send an offer to is Ahmed Rosario. Some reason he's a free agent. I'm not sure what happened with him in the Rays. He got non-tendered and then did not play past 17 games for them. But he is a very good potential. He's a potential. He's a 74 overall, but the attributes are very, very good there. So I'm going to send him an offer and see if we can pick up the sneaky little A potential right here. So let's go ahead and send this an offer. The next guy I want to make an offer to is going to be Adalberto Mondesi. He is not good at all. Looking at those attributes, bad. He's a pretty decent fielder, but I'm really just going to sign him as depth for shortstop, considering we don't really have anybody for shortstop. If we offer that to him and go look at shortstop, we have Gabriel Rice and nobody else. So we need to go ahead and fill that in. I might even look to add another shortstop, just a random lower potential guy. I probably won't show that on recording, but I might go ahead and sign a guy like that, and probably for second base as well, just to fill out that third spot and add a bench bat. Looking at right field, I want to sign an older player here that can be a mentor to our younger outfielders, especially Elliot Ramos, Alec Burleson. We need a guy who can kind of fill in while they are still getting ready, because I think Elliot Ramos will need to start in AAA next season, and Alec Burleson still needs to progress a lot. So I think I'm going to go after Jason Hayward here. He had a very, very good season last season. He's 35 years old. He'll be 36 after. He will probably be our everyday right fielder. So let's go ahead and send him an offer. The next position I want to go after is relief pitcher, and this is where we're going to be spending a bulk of that $50 million, just because our bullpen was pretty bad last year. So let's look to upgrade that, and our first upgrade is going to be Carl Edwards Jr. He's pretty good. He's only 33, so he is still towards the end of his career, but I think if we get him for 2 years, he can be a good option for us. And if he does start to regress, we can trade him at the trade deadline. The next guy we're going to go after is Jorge Lopez. He's a pretty cheap option for us at only $2 million, considering that he was an all-star at one point in his career. He's very cheap, and I'm going to look to pick him up. I think that he can be a very good end of the bullpen reliever guy, maybe even our closer. We'll have to see how spring training goes, but I think this could be a good closer for us. So let's go ahead and give him an offer. The third guy we're going to look for the bullpen is going to be Caleb Ferguson. He is a lefty, and we very desperately need a lefty in our bullpen. He's pretty good. He didn't have the best season last year, but if you look at his walks per nine, his Ks per nine, his hits per nine, pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and offer him. All right, so after offering all of our prospects and renewing our contracts, we are sitting at a $44 million, $180,900 budget and pending offers right now. So that is just below our $50 million budget that we set. So we are looking very good in that sense. So let's go ahead and jump over to the 40-man draft. Heading over to the draft lottery, let's go ahead and look at our odds. We are the worst team in the league, so we have the highest odds at 16% and 50%. So let's go ahead and simulate the draft lottery and see where we get. So we ended up dropping one and actually getting the second overall pick for next draft. And I know I didn't cover the draft in this last season. That's because we had the 23rd pick, I believe, and that's not really that fun considering how bad our team was. So we will start covering the draft going into next season, and we have the second overall pick, so that's pretty good. A little sad that we didn't get that number 1 pick, and the Rockies actually went up 4 and got it. The Guardians went up 4, considering they were pretty decent. So let's go ahead and go to the 40-man draft now. So entering the Rule 5 draft, we have the number 1 overall pick, as I just said. because we are the worst team in the league. So hopefully we can change that next season, but we were the worst team in the league. So let's go ahead and look at the 40-man options and see who we can pick up. So the first thing that stands out to me is, how is Clayton Kershaw here? I wish I could go pick him up, but that's just not realistic. Otherwise, Clayton Kershaw would be an ace. But looking at the rest, there's a lot of just fringe reliever, a lot of just guys who haven't really made the MLB, or guys who are still looking to make the MLB. So I think who we're definitely going to go with here is probably Phil Bickford, just because he's a very good reliever and that will add to our bullpen that we have. And I think that this bullpen that we're creating will be actually pretty decent going to next season. So let's go ahead and draft him with the first pick. The next guy we're going to look to pick up in the draft is going to be Ken Waldichuk. I know I traded him away from the Athletics when we changed him from the Athletics to the Aces, but I think that he's still a very good prospect, so I want to go pick him back up. And I think that whether or not he can be a starter or maybe a reliever for us, I just want to see what he can do. In worst case scenario, we can just release him if he's not good. Let's go ahead and pick him up. So that will be the end of the Rule 5 draft for us, as we have no more picks left. And so let's go ahead and simulate until spring training. So before we end off this episode, I want to go through our roster, who we have for spring training. And I know this is a shorter episode, but we will do spring training next episode and the first half a month of the season next episode. So I'll make it up to you guys. I'm still very sick, so I'm just trying to get out what I can for you guys. But let's go over the roster. We have Jake McCarthy at center field, Jonathan Indy at second base, Stephen Kwan in left field, Corey Julks right field, Nick Senzel third base, Gabriel Rise shortstop, Kyle Stowers DH, Matthew Batten first base, Bert Bubba, Ryan Connors, Lawrence Butler, Yasmani Grandal, Alvaro Robert, Jason Hayward, Dominic Smith, Ahmed Rosario, Nelson Velasquez, Ivan Herrera, Elliot Ramos, Elegiros Montero, and Alec Burleson. Going over and looking at pitching, we have Emmett Sheehan, Bailey Falter, Aaron Kidd, Thad Lyons, Carl Edwards Jr., and I will actually go switch him out for Ken Waldichuk. We have Mitch Spence, Darren McCann, Prelander Barrera, Caleb Ferguson, Jorge Alcala, Mark Leiter Jr., Phil Bickford, Carl Edwards Jr., Jorge Lopez, Luis Ortiz, Frankie Montas, Josh Fleming, Brian Mata, and Joey Estes. So thank you guys for watching this off-season episode. I want to say thank you to all the support I've been getting, all the new subscribers. Shout out, we have 1.8k. Shout out that's awesome. And I do want to say, when we reach 2,500, so 2.5k, I want to do a live stream of just some Aces games. So if you guys would like that, go ahead, comment below and just say Aces live stream, so then I know that you want to see that. Otherwise, I might not do it. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. Thank you guys for everything. You are all amazing and awesome. Have a good one.